Good evening, Team Powertrax. It's Pom from a very bleak, damp, dark, miserable, nasty North Devon, but I don't think we're alone. I think, yeah, case of staying safe out there, isn't it? It's pretty damn dreadful. But, you got to think, next week, you'll be able to say the end of the next month is March. The Daffies are on their way, and, yes, hopefully we'll move through the winter into sunnier even climes. Looking forward. I want to do lots of fishing this year, and I'm going to make the effort. So roll on. Now, I'm not really sure if anybody can make comments. I don't know if this is going to work. Start the same feed off the same time. It's obviously not working. Oh, there we go. We're working. I don't know. I'm clueless on this stuff. Trevor, good evening to you, sir. Paul, Andre, all the way from Slovakia. Hopefully, Andre, we'll meet up in a couple of weeks if you're about. Back out to Hungary for another show. Colin, good evening. Robert, how did you get on with your brother today? You went fishing. Tony Turner. Thank you, Tony. Yes, my dad is a lot better, so thanks for asking that. He's still in hospital and he's going to be in there for a while, but he's definitely a damn sight better than he was, which is a bit of a relief for us all. Yeah, Ian, thank you again for asking. So he is very poorly. He does have blood cancer, so it's not good. He is on a ticking clock, but if we can make him comfortable, that's the main thing. Darren, how you doing? Dave Clifford, come on down. Gonna see you soon, aren't we, Dave? So, what have we got tonight? I've got loads of stuff to talk about tonight, and hopefully I've got some questions coming shortly as well. I know quite a few people sent me the questions in. So what I'll do is I'll wait for a couple of minutes just to get a thing, and what I'm going to show you, if I turn my camera around, I'm trying to be more professional. I might even get a screen behind it. That is the main competition tonight. That will be drawn in about half an hour. There is also my little competition, another competition, and I've lost it already. Oh no, here it is. And the winner of that will be announced later on, will win 5 of the awesome LQ rigs, which I personally signed for the team. So that will be announced as well. And to kick things off, because there's quite a few people here already, this is tonight's draw. So tonight's raffle draw, we have a raffle we have a draw every week Sunday. And basically all you got to do, if you want to enter it, it's free to enter like everything else, is just send yes. So send yes to me, Simon Pomeroy, on Facebook, so my private page. Hopefully that makes sense. Send it to me. Simon, how you doing? Who else is here? I've got loads of new comments. Oh, where am I going? Neil Thompson, how you doing, sir? Lee Jackson, I'm going to mention you in a bit, Lee. Wait with bated breath. Mike Baines. James, good evening. Good to see you. Am I catching up now? I'm catching up, I think. Evening to Ricky Hagan. Sorry, Ricky. Oh. So no turnaround line for tomorrow, so I get a... There you go. Good man, Chris. In the words of good old Dixon, Doc Green. Yeah, there's not many here that will probably remember that. Well, I don't know, actually, to be honest. There's a high average age. Matthew Rice, my partner in crime. Alan, how you doing? Just trying to think. Have my first ever pike, £15 4 ounces. Well chuffed. Well done, Robert Gleave. That's fantastic. Very happy times. It is so good going for other species this time of the year, you know, your perch and your pike particularly. So well done. Where am I? Darren John. So thank you for your comments there, Darren. Really appreciated. Steve Howlett, do the Eagle Wave chods come with a larger eye? They're actually not a chod. Where are they? They are their own. I'm playing around today because I put something in the new Catch More Fish about them, but they aren't designed out and out as a chod hook. But obviously with the outturn eye, I mean, you can just do about anything with them. And then obviously you've got that offset. I don't know if you can see that. I like the idea of an offset because basically you're clearing the whole of the circumference of the point. So the shank isn't actually getting in the way at all. It's something that was very popular back when I first started carp fishing nearly 30 years ago now. I mean, lots of people, Carper Us in particular. But it kind of died, and I've obviously revisited. These are the first ones we're trying. But yeah, so you can, but use them as a trod in. But no, they don't have a bigger eye than that. It's just quite a large eye, so it's not a small eye. So it'll be the same size as my actual chod eyes on my chod hooks on the Grips chod. So where are we then? Paul Perch, I just put your bits together, Paul. I expect some small stones winging their way for drop shotting, which we're going to talk about in a while. Rob, how you doing, Rob? I'm not sure who I haven't. Maya, how you doing? Ryan Jones, right, I think I'm up together. So the prize for tonight, the draw, so you have to ping the message to me. 2 packets of the Revolutionary Grips in the straight point. A nice set of braid blades. And some solar rod wraps. So that's all for one person tonight. All you got to do is fire yes through to me, Simon Pomeroy, and that'll be drawn in about half an hour as well. So there we go. So I've got loads of questions, but I've also got loads to talk about. So what I'm going to do is wing it, which is what I always do. What I'm going to do actually, first thing is, where's my little box so I can get rid of all of the competition prize for the lucky winner later. Right, so Darren John has asked me, hi Sam, how you doing, sir? Nice to see you out on the bank the other day. So if you've got any questions, do pop in. Obviously I'll rabbit away, and these are team members that kindly sent questions through. It's really good because this can never be about me. It's never been about me. It's always just a platform to have a natter on, talk about all the joys of fishing. Yeah, we can have a bit of controversy as long as it's not harmful. So there we go. So Darren John is asking me, and what we've got to appreciate here is this team is very focused on anglers of all experiences. We want to help each other. Something that we did, very, very much, my formative years, which I don't even want to say, it's getting on for 40 years ago, but the seniors used to help the newcomers, and the club I was involved with, so this is kind of like a virtual effort like that. So the reason I say that is because somebody's asked, Darren John's asked the question, what's the best way to present maggots and worms on hooks, please? Well, without again getting too complicated, because I think this industry has complicated things past the point of no return in some ways. When you're hooking a maggot, you certainly need to have a really sharp hook. Dave, how you doing, sir? And then what you do, I haven't got any maggots here unfortunately, but if you squeeze the maggot, now this is the key to it. People, especially, people who are ham-handed or so. Hi, Steve. They'll stab a maggot. And what you don't want to do is you want to keep the maggot wriggling. Okay, but at the same time, you need to have the attraction of having it holding it and dispersing out. Rich Shaw, the work you've never known a work in your life, Rich. You're just chilling out at Airbnb in London. Hi, John, how you doing? So going back to that. So if you squeeze a maggot, okay, and it looks like 2 little top blobs on top, and they're certainly not, evening Stephen, certainly not eyes, okay, but if you squeeze it, then a little kind of almost like raised area comes up, and that's where you want to pierce it, is that you squeeze the maggot, little raised area, and you pierce that, because then you're not going through the body, and you're not destroying it really, really quickly. So if you really, really take, again, so much of fishing and catching more fish is about that kind of attention to detail. It doesn't have to be like some of the stuff that's put out there now. It's gone ridiculous, talking about enzymes and talking about got to drop leads and crazy stuff. If you go back to the basics and realise that anglers like me and loads of others are out here to help, we've got no hidden agenda. Hi Anthony, how you doing? And so so what I'm saying is let's help each other. Let's all help each other, and that's what we can do here. So when you squeeze the maggot, like I say, you pierce through, just nick it, okay? Strong enough to keep the maggot on the hook. Don't do what a lot of people do, just basically impale it, and you get all maggot juice come out everywhere, and your maggot basically is dead as soon as it enters the water. Not saying that dead maggot isn't a tactic, but as a hook bait, a live hook bait, with maggots, and basically very much for worms. Now, there's lots of ways you can mount a worm, but and again, there's different kinds of worms. There could be dendrobinas, there could be, the big old lobworms and other bits and pieces out there. So with Dendrobenas, I mean, they haven't got the section you'll see on a lobworm where it's quite a firm midsection, and I tend to put hooks through that. The good thing about grips, and it's not a plug, it's just a fact of life, is that because of those little ridges, once you put your maggot or your worm on, they struggle to get past that little grip section. So in between the black dots is the way I do it exactly, Anthony. Just nick hook it, and so it's lovely and wriggly and really attracting. And the same with the worm. Now, if I'm not going to advocate barbed hooks on here, I don't like barbed hooks it's been on record for years, to be fair. Especially as a fishery owner, but also as an angler. But you can get little kind of, what I tend to do, because I'm a cheap git, is get elastic band and just snip a tiny bit off, and then you feed that on barbless. You don't, like I say, you don't need to do it on grips, but on barbless patterns, you feed that over and then trap the worm, because the worms will come off easy peasy compared to maggots. So yeah, so that's the way to do that, Darren. We just double maggot head to tail, stop some spinning. There you go. That's what it's. Every day's a school day for all of us, and that's what's great about us. We should be never ever fear, because I've tea from my wonderful wife. No rum for me tonight for some reason. I've obviously done something wrong, but there you go. No Coke. That kid of mine, he drinks it like a bucketful. What's Stephen saying? He's saying, live maggot just nipped on between the black dots, and I tend to ball some off for free offerings. Oh, you cruel man. Or they just tend to wiggle off or into the silt. But going back to what I'm saying is, if you get a tiny bit of elastic band, you just pierce it, and it's just small, you pierce it through and then pull it round, and then the worm can't get that past that, and you're not kind of closing the shank or anything like that. There you go, Lee saying top to tail maggots of using 2 stops and twisting the hook length. And this is the kind of thing that would be great, folks, to share on the team page. You know, I really want to get that because I've had this habit. You all know by now probably. I'll drift all over the place. But no, I'm not going to go down that route. I'm not going to go there because I'm looking at all these questions here. And I'm thinking I'm going to go off on tangent. But yeah, just share it as much as you can on the team page. That's what I'm saying. You know, little video clips, pictures, whatever, anything to help, especially people who don't know. And the fact is that Facebook can be such an evil place, social media full stop. You know, I don't allow any, idiots here. So you know that if you're asking a question now or any other time, you'll only get a positive response. And if you're doing something wrong, we won't be rude. We'll just, nudge you in the right direction. There you go, Ian Brookman. He uses small swivels to stop the maggots spinning the hook link up. I found what Stephen's saying. I found that I used to get more bites on dead maggots. Yeah, it's again, you don't ever. All I would say, never close your eyes to one tactical approach, but definitely dead maggots. They really do work for whatever reason, but they do have their time and place. So Ian Brookman's next question. I will move on to that, but say any questions, and don't forget. I don't even know. Oh, here it is. Raffle prize if you've just turned up. This little bunch of goodies. All you've got to do is ping yes through to Simon. Me. It's been a long day. I'll tell you a story. Me and good old Matt Rice yesterday, we got up at Sparrows and we said, right, we're going to go and try and catch a perch on some new kit, which I'm going to show you. And we walked round Upper Tamar. It nearly killed us both. And we caught nothing. So there you go. We tried everything in the book and we couldn't catch nothing. Now, years ago, when I used to go up at Tamar, you pretty much guaranteed at least 2-pounders. And the worst thing is we're sitting there and there's like a fun run going past us. And this chap wandered up. He said, oh, how you doing, lads? And lads, how you doing, you old gits? And we said, well, we're really struggling. I fished up here several years ago and got loads of fish up to £3 14 ounces on jellies. And he said, I stopped coming up here a couple of years ago. They just seemed to have disappeared. So that was sod's law. We should have stayed at my place where we had been catching them, but we couldn't catch anything bigger than like 6 ounces. So we thought we'd go for something big. There you go. I'm knackered. So we don't talk about it. Paul Perch, he uses dead maggots for eels. I know Paul's really into his eel fishing. That'll start to gain traction like catfish and things like that. And so watch out for pieces that Paul's doing in regards to eels. And don't, look, I used to fish on the Norfolk Broads as a kid, and those little ones, they are a nightmare. They cover everything in slime. All your line gets ragged to pieces, and that's just fishing. But there They probably all right going over the weir bomb. But a big eel, and they're really interesting if you do a bit of research on eels. But they are not only they're incredible fighters because they can swim back, but they're absolutely stunning creatures. If you look at real close up to an eel, take a photo of it and look real into it, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, watch out for more Paul will be doing. So Trevor's saying big water tamer, tough water. Yeah, it is. I don't know how. I know it's about 3 miles long or round or whatever, but I'm guessing it's about 85 acres for some reason. That's in the back of my head. But yeah, it is in big water. But like I say before, I was gobsmacked. I was absolutely not even a follow. And I'm not saying I'm brilliant at drop shotting or lure fishing, but I'm more than competent enough. And there's just nothing there at all. It was really disappointing. But anyhow, we had a good old wander round. But worst of all, it started off badly because Matt forgot the brew kit. So no, actually, I forgot the brew kit. Left it in the car. Tinny went home, and I went to get it, and I go, "Where's the brew kit?" So we had to spend £6.40 expensively. It was a nice coffee at the cafe there, but there we go. 84 acres, so I was an acre out. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you. So Ian's saying, can you tell us what naturals are most abundant this time of year, and how do naturals influence your bait choice? Any advice on rolling baits when fishing for chub and barbel? Now, I'm going to leave rolling baits to somebody else because I am not by far the best. It's not particularly difficult, but it's not a tactic I would be an expert on. I know people that can, and I will get feedback on that. But it is literally you're using something like a very, very small shot with a lump of luncheon meat predominantly. You can use other things, and you're literally lifting rod tip up and you're bouncing it downstream with the flow. It is that simple. I don't do it enough. I should do, because you can cover a huge amount of ground with it when you're fishing the rivers. So there we go. But it's not something I would say I'm an expert, and not that I'm saying I'm an expert at anything, but you know what I mean. How do naturals influence your bait choice? Completely. If Daphne agreed to be the size of a maggot, I'd be fishing on Daphne all year round, to be quite honest. That's the problem. I think with the advent, especially in the carp scene, where you're seeing fish being caught on, in all honesty, and unnaturally large size baits, there probably is a school of thought that they feed on big things. But if you're then looking, there's no big things for them to feed on. It's all micro, because at the end of the day, they're omnivores, so they'll eat just about anything, because they're looking at food. Yes, Steve, the biggest one I've ever fished on is Vinkerveen in Holland, and though it's connected and by lots of different kind of like weir gates and things like that, 16,000 hectares. I can remember when I turned up to fish the World Carp Classic at Medine. You come over this hill, and that's 10,000 acres, and there was yachts, and there was like marinas. So yeah, so big old waters out here. We're quite lucky out over here. They're not too big. It was a good walk. It was 2 gentlemen walking around, enjoying each other's company, and then you joined me. It was a nightmare. I see it's trotting the bottom with rolling. Exactly. No, that's right, Trevor. We did say if we did it every day, I might lose some of this fat on me. But when we get over there, Paul, we can get on it. But yeah, we're going to take you to Horseshoe, Galen. That's where we're going. And Gold Lake and Blue Pool. So can you tell us what naturals are most abundant this time of year? Now, I don't pretend again to be an expert, but what I can tell you is there's loads, both in the water and coming through the water columns. I mean, if you look at it, and again, I sound a bit of a train spotting nerd here. That's not knocking people who want to go train spotting. Good on you. But there is 4,007 known species of waterborne fly in this country alone. That's not without the mollusks or the beetles or the spiders. That is just things. So if you look at the black non-biting midge, which is what you see thousands on, millions of them over lakes a lot of times in the warmer months, because they bloodworm have got a 4-year cycle. So they're a tiny worm, they'll come up and then they'll just hover over, and that's all bloodworm, but it's just one of 4,007. So it really gets interesting. I kind of got into it with my fly fishing, because that's obviously you're looking to replicate mayflies and daddy long legs and whatever, shrimp. But all of those things, they're eaten by our quarry. So that's why naturals, if I could fish them, I mean, that's what I tend to look at doing now, is where I am in developing bait is to really try and concentrate some recipes with naturals, because it's not being done because I think predominantly it's expensive and there's not a lot of thirst for, dare I say, innovation. You know, we're kind of like down the coconut or the strawberry or whatever route, whereas I'm coming at it from a very, very different angle. And some of the baits we'll be field testing this year will just be really, really high impact, low boil naturals. So like one just literally full of Daphnia, for example. So yeah. Hi John, how you doing? So hopefully that's of some help, Ian, but I'm going to skip on to the next because I've got quite a lot. No, I'll tell you what I'm not. I'm going to do this first of all. I'm going to show you this because if you're new to the team, there is various freebies, and if I'm useless, other people here will be able to help better than me on this. But there is, within the shop, there is a thing called Team Exclusives. We don't really promote it. We probably should, because it's there to be exclusive for team members. So there's all kinds of stuff like, let's say, the LQ rigs I tie and one thing or another. But there is also freebies that you can have. So the first freebie I mentioned is the old anti-tangle foam. So every time you have an order which is going to go in a box, not a packet of hooks, that won't work. As long as it goes in a box, all of the packaging will be this, which is proper environmentally safe. It's natural. It's maize, isn't it, Tins? Maize starch. So there you go. And it's a good bit. But every time you can have that, and every time your box comes, it is packaged. It is this stuff. So don't bin it. Just put it in a bag. So that's free. And the other freebie is the rig guide. How to make the LQ rigs up. We are going to be updating it later this year, but that is free. It's got a little cut to show you. There's instructions online. But again, you just have to put both of those, if you want one, into the comments box on checkout. All right. But, and I am going to plug this because it's a thing of beauty. I'm actually going to turn my camera around because it deserves. I hate to be nice to him, but he does do a good job here, Mr. Matthew Rice. Hang on a second. So Matthew is a bit of an R. And this is the Indestructible, one of those. They're available as a team exclusive. They just are really nice bit of kits. You've got a swivel there to insert your rig to get the lengths and things like that. But they're only available to team members. And if you want something that is going to last you forever, they're available again on the team exclusive page. But they really do make, as I'm always banging on, your rig needs to be a proven pattern and it needs to be exact. You know, your Ronnie rig can't be different than somebody else's Ronnie rig. It has to be the same as the original fully functioning Ronnie rig. If you start to tweak and go away from it, you're designing another rig and it could all go wrong. So Galen, Pom, method for using packing foam is an amazing little trick that I have adapted in my fishing. There you go. Eliminates all tangles basically, and there's lots of ways of manipulating. I've done a few clips on it, but we'll do that more. Think there, the nuggets I've got from packaging. I've got 3 bin bags. There you go. You're obviously spending loads of money with us, Stephen. Can I get the better rig board? Yeah, you just got to go on to, if somebody might be able to help me here, I'm hopeless with all this techie stuff, but you go onto the team exclusive page and they're in there. So they are now I knew this. I went and got one out of the warehouse and I thought, oh, how much are these? Matt does them. He does them for, you know, to be quite honest, we sell them as cheap as we can because we're rubbish at business. But Ted, how much are rigs, Matt? Rigs? No, Matt's rig board. Pardon? And that's on the team exclusive page. It's so professional here. It's $15.95 and it's on the team exclusive page. So yeah, but they are a bit of, yeah. I like nice stuff. That's don't get me wrong. You'll do the same job as that, and that's free. But I like stuff because you know I go through these like. You know, I take them with me fishing all the time. The trouble is it gets wet, all gets underneath that, then you have to store them again. But those are available. I'm not trying to flog them. They are just a team exclusive. And on the team exclusive, there's going to be more stuff going on there. I'm going over to Hungary to do a deal next week. And Simon's bossing, so much there. Yeah, Galen's got them. Yeah, there's going to be more stuff added to Team Play. I'm just, in essence, I'm trying to like do and find as much as I can put onto the team exclusives. So It's a big part of what we do. I'm not saying you're all here to get freebies or cheapies or anything, but the fact is, if I can find stuff that, I put a post up earlier about carp tax, and it is becoming more and more prevalent. Now, I'm no problem with the industry making money, but not at the cost of various things, certainly integrity. And when I'm in the background, and I've been to China, and I was talking to Indy the other day, manufacturers out there, and I know how much this stuff costs. Now, obviously, I don't want it to be dirt cheap, because you get dirt cheap quality, but I think we should pay a right price for the right product. And when I see a product by an unbranded company at £10, and then I see one by a branded company, exactly the same machine coming from exactly the same factory at £50, I don't think that's right. But there you go. We'll be on the top navigation. I take it that's on the website. So there you go. Anybody questions? But this is interesting. And again, it will impact on. Let me move this around here. This isn't the best demo, but hopefully give you an idea. I'm going to move completely away from the norm, which is all about carp fishing, and I'm not got a problem with that. But let me have a slurp. How the Blades coming along? Oh, sorry, just quickly, Blades. I spoke to him last week. All basically, well, they're being built now. They're being built, and they're all hand built individually. There's a couple of little things we're waiting for, which is on the butt. We've got an engraved Team Palatrax logo and things like that, and that's been made for us in Wales. So yeah, it's all come together now. I'm really looking forward to it, and yeah, I mean, there's about 50 have been sold now, or reserved, and I think once they come out and people see that I genuinely have gone out and look to design the best I possibly can, and that will reflect, I hope, because having seen the samples and working, I've got to go and have one more meeting, and then that should be all wrapped up. So watch your space, but they're coming along nicely. It's taken me longer, but that was because of the reel seat. I refused to have, well, I tell you what, I'll show you something here, right? Because this is what I'm going to show you. So I am not sponsored by this company. I don't do all that kind of stuff. I do what I do. So basically, there's a company, I've never heard of them before, but they approached me actually about stones and grips. And it's called Rigged and Ready. They're based up in Cumbria, and basically I swapped some stuff for some stuff. So I'm really interested, and more so, like me and Matt went out with this gear yesterday. No, it didn't work. Must be something wrong with it. So basically, these are kind of travel rods, and we were admiring their rod build, and like I say, you look at some of the stuff on the market, and it's just Me Too products. So it's it's like a reel seat coming out of the same factory. So, and they're not necessarily the best. But I really like this. Waiting for the barber rods, you and me both, Rich. All things come to those who wait. So this is, this is actually, and I don't. And he said to me, what about a telescopic rod? Because that's basically the whole rod, yeah? And I'm, not really a fan of telescopics, but then fair enough, it's probably 30 or 5 years ago since I mucked around with telescopic rods, and they tended to be for surf fishing and things like that. So, and these came through, and their action on this is, and again, I'm not affiliated, so I'm not trying to flog anything or do anything. I think you've got used to that by now. But when you see something nice, and obviously you can use, but to be quite honest, this wasn't it's far from expensive. I thought they were quite cheap. But going back to the reel seats, look at the finish off on this, and that's why. Maybe that's all coming through, but it's just nice. And this is what I was saying, we're waiting for a plate, but that is really top quality, and it's affordable, and that's what I wanted to make sure, that we got a reel seat. We couldn't, for various reasons, get something as beautiful as that, but we can get something as efficient and still look cool. So, but yeah, so we've got these rods. So we've got this one, and we've got another one here, which looks a bit like a, I don't know, like a gun. I don't know. But that's, again, I like this. I'm terrible, and I've been trying to get these, and that's one of the reasons we're having a good chat, because he can get me these for the Blades, which is what I want to bring out. I want to bring out really, because these are proper travels. But this is all travel kit. This company's just doing all this travel stuff, and I really thought, you know, this one's comes with a reel. Let me show you. This is. I'll just show you the other. So they do reels. They actually do one. Not that I'm into short rods, but if you go in, you know, they do one that would more than adequately work for, you know, a bit of fun carp fishing. Oh, let me open this up. But again, this is a again, it's just a short little thing. And what I like about this is, I mean, they are really have a look, rigged and ready. You'll see his site, and it's very much actually like me. He's very much into getting more people into fishing and one thing and another. So this is you know, this is the other one, and they're just, like I say, just nice. And no, it's not going to catch us any more fish, but it's nice to have something nice. And these are quite dinky little reels. I've been playing around with that yesterday, and that was bad luck as well because I caught nothing. So yes, so what I'm saying is, and now what I'm moving on to is, don't forget, especially this time of year, what size of travel rods they get. They come fit together to about 7 foot-ish. Like I say, it's just some. I mean, I love that because, you know, I can take that. Say I go to, I don't know, Malta, and I want to just have a bit of fishing sitting on a rock. I can just throw that in a suitcase. I mean, this fitted in the in my rucksack perfectly, to be quite honest. And it's only a little solar rucksack. So yeah, just handy, just opening up something else. You know, you go away, you see cheap rods over on, you know, in the cheap shops and things like that. They're awful. These are good. And he developed them. His name's Andy. He developed them because there wasn't anything on the market. So I think that's quite nice to kind of innovate. But he did it for a reason. He's got a really good following now because they're sold all over the world because nobody else is really doing anything like that. So I will keep you abreast with the developments there, because that's one of the things that I want to get on the Team Initiative page, the exclusives, and hopefully be able to he'd be able to discount some stuff for us and things like that. So I have the rigged and ready. ×5 travel rods fits in my suitcase for holidays. Used it on holiday in Lanzarote. Caught loads of small fish in the harbour. Great fun. Exactly, and that's where I can see me having taken one of those away with a few floats and a few hooks, a few grips. And just being able to sit there and, oh, my wife's looking at me, or not. We're not going on holiday. But yeah, no, what do you think of that, Alan? I mean, like I say, we've only taken out, we haven't had any fish on it, but the action of the rod seemed to be really, very powerful as well. So, you know, it's almost like a fly rod in many ways for me. But yeah, no, I'm quite impressed with that. But what it does, and I'll turn the camera around, is, and this I think is, and I've seen it again this winter, and I'm as bad. Now, this is absolutely a rubbish demo. But these kind of rods, as I was showing you, this kind of light, this is a telescopic one, which is absolutely mean. And I thought, like I say, I saw it, and I thought, when he said to me on the phone, you're going to have to try one of these. And I said, well, it's got all these nice little fittings, things like that. And he said, no. He said, I know what you're going to say. He said, I promise you, this is something very, very much different. And yeah, it's Matt's got his eyes on that one. But so, and what does it allow you to do? These kind of rods, not just for travel rods, but you know, down the canal, at a lake. We took these, as I say, up to Upper Tamar, 84-acre lake, and so yeah, so it's, and what you can do, you can go so light. I mean, the only reason we took probably too much yesterday, and then I decided to wear my rucksack on my shoulder, which then kind of crippled me. But all you've got to do is take things like this, and you can pop them, you know, these are these drop shots. So you've got here, let me just move this quarter closer. So you can see there, that's the drop shot. You fish it basically what it appears to be back to front, but that's because then it doesn't catch into the bottom as you'll bring it in. And you can drop them, you can retrieve them. But you'd be surprised, and interesting, Matt sent me a picture last night of somebody who's out perch fishing, had a 30-pound carp. I know a lad who had a 20-pound carp, because carp will, if they're hungry enough, they'll eat anything. But these, you'll catch perch, you know, you can go up a bit higher. They do a pike one, so I'm going to get hold of that and see that. But this is all you take. Exactly. And to be quite honest, I'll go to the next stage, because I have decided to... and because I want to develop these in grips without a shadow of doubt. So these are the kind of, so we've debarbed, well, the royal we, Matt's debarbed these for me. So there you go. And you fish it that way round. I hope that makes sense. So just tie it on there. You put your jelly on, pull it down like we've got here. And there's so many concoctions of these kind of different weird and wonderful lures. This is what I've actually bought for here, because I've not got any silvers here, well not yet, whether the birds bring some in or anything like that. But perch are very, very much known to be cannibalistic. And so we've just got these, I haven't tried them yet. So yeah, I'll be fishing these little fellas down on my place, because there's definitely perch down there. We had some, but like I say, you can just take a tiny little box of a few. This is my favouriteest spin in the world. I've just caught that fish. These are called Ondexes. Childhood memories, but they still work. They're not as good as they used to be from a craftsmanship point of view. If I was ever to bring a spinner out, it would be something in that standard, because that's basically a roach and they do a road version. So yes, Lee, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I'm in talks for grips jig heads. Most of them seem to come barbed, and I keep on getting asked for them as well, which is a good thing. So yeah, watch your space, watch your space. But yeah, all I'm saying is, do have a look at companies like Rigged and Ready. There's obviously a load of people like Rapala, Savage Gear, Fox Rage. They do all this kind of stuff. And I tell you what, yes, you can still put your carp rods out, but you can sit there, reel them in every now and again, and then just take the rod and have a wander around. Or sit there in your swim, like down here, you can sit in there and have 2 rods out for, you know, the carp, and then have your 3rd rod out just flicking around and catching some perch. And my aim here is to get perch to over 3 pounds. So, you know, that'd be a nice sized perch. So, yeah. Are you able to catch perch on small hard lures like you would use it? Yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean, Lee Jackson is a great person, one of the team members here. He does lots of this. You tend to use the bigger hard plastics for pike, though you can catch big pike on very small or vice versa. But in my humble opinion, I've always found, you know, these jellies, because of the actions they've got and things like that, and how you can change the action, you know, coming in fast, coming in slow. But yeah, you can definitely use small hard plastics. But for me, it's always been, you know, and therefore, you know, I can't be taken as right here as such. But I've caught so many fish, especially on orange as well. I do ring the changes all the time, but I've caught lots of fish on orange. And these have actually been designed, you know, they're designed to mimic and replicate, well, absolutely nothing, but they are of fish in distress or whatever. You can even get them like shaped like nymphs and things like that. So the natural food sources, you could just bounce those on the bottom, but you just don't have to take anything. You know, net, a small, what did we say? We had a net, a small unhooking mat. I took too many lures, because I don't know why, because I'm an idiot. And you know, that's it. You know, we didn't bother taking chairs, which we should have, because I'm particularly old. But yeah. Ray, no, you're more than welcome, sir. You're more than welcome. I'm going to be announcing very shortly the next. You know, failed all it, but I think But all I'm saying is, have a look at this. You know, if you've got, this is what I regret. The one thing regret I've got about my fishing is that I didn't fish a 3rd rod for other species. And I've been on some waters with incredible other species, and I got so caught up in the carp obsession, I didn't think, you know, look at my old lakes, Paddington Lakes, you know, the perch, the pike. And you ever fished for pike once, I had 2, and that was on Ondex spinners. Never ever fished for them. And I can't really get my head around, though I wasn't particularly well back in those days. I can't get my head around. So now, like I say, I'm looking for all these other areas. And the fact is I can take that just about anywhere with me is quite interesting. So there you go. Any questions? Calvin, hard lures work great too. There you go. And Lee does know his stuff. Like you've really got to see the amount of fish he's caught. I got some imitation blubber and didn't realise they had glitter in them at first. Turned out all the bass fishing ones and I had perch tugging on my rigs. We used them as a poorly stop. There you go. There you go. I mean, I had 4 the other day down in Jack's. Nothing, but I put a picture up. It was, I don't know, 6 ounces, something like that, probably 5 or 6 ounces. And but they actually, because I was getting these nips, and you could see these little fellas, which were about, where's that gone? They were about this size, okay, and they were basically nicking. I could feel them bite, because I'm fishing braid, because you get such good bite detection on braid. Don't fish on any other thing, but for lure fishing, it's not a problem. And I brought one in, and they'd eaten as long. There's no end to it, and they were just nipping. But that's the problem I think I've got. I know I've got loads of little ones, and I don't know how. I found well, there's thousands in there. There's thousands, because when they spawned, and they will eat each other. So, you know, fingers crossed I'll pick up a bigger one. Not that I care really, but on that kind of gear, it's still good fun, isn't it? Different tactics for different situations. This is from Lee, house expert. If they are active aggressive, then hard baits work well, but if it's weedy or snaggy, it's probably not the best choice. There you go. Vince White, hope you're all feeling well. Big hugs to M. Hope everything is out. I had my first long walk out on the ice today. My first time ever. I walked halfway to Rack Island on my own. Good man. Didn't you have why don't you have a skidoo or something like that? Or huskies? Don't you have huskies over there, Vince? So, back to my questions. And then we're going to go into the... I'm just making sure... oh, yeah. I keep on putting this, so I'll put it out there. Don't forget the power of sweet corn. Or maize, but sweet corn especially. This time of year, you will be so surprised how many fish, and big fish, you will get using the old Jolly Green Giant. I don't know, that's still available, is it? This is Morrison Savers, that brand of fishing bait. So yeah, all I'm saying is this is a really good, put 2 or 3 on the hair, fish it directly on the hook. I don't really know why, you know, I did quite a bit of research on sweet corn. It's, you know, it's pretty basic, it's physical makeup, and it's obviously certainly natural on one hand, but not natural in water. But for whatever reason, just about everything and anything will eat it. Yes, there's a visual element to it. Yes, it's very sweet, so it's got a sugar kind of attraction. Does the crunch value mean something? I don't know. I don't really go that deeply into it. But all I can say is millions of fish have been caught on this over the years, and it's cheap and really good. You can dry it out, put it in a bag. You can mix it in with your method mix and have them on the a couple of 3 on the hair. But this has got, if you look at places like Lequy where they catch loads of fish on maize, they're catching on that. But I think part of the reason is, you know, they feed the lake on it because it's a basic, you can use it as a basic food. Corn fished over hemp and corn can be deadly this time. Exactly, Ryan. You're exactly right. I would give drop shotting jigging a go on nearby water. I've heard of some very big stripies in there. I'm packing my bag now and coming. Yes, you must do some research then, Ian. You must do some research. Honestly, it's such an exciting way of fishing. And because it's not mainstream, I guess, they call it LRF, light rod fishing. They do it. You can take these rods down like... I took one recently, well, it wasn't recent actually, it was a while ago, down to I was talking about it recently, which is kind of a natural sea pool down in Bude. And I was using tiny little bits of these Maruku strips you could get. They're not available anymore. On tiny little hooks. So I was catching these little kind of gobies like this. But because you're fishing such light, I was fishing 2-pound braid. It's like, you know, you can hardly even see it. And you'd be surprised. And then I took it down to Megavissi. I took it down to Megavissi and was fishing off the rocks and fishing off, and we were catching pollock about, you know, half a pound, and they're proper stripping line off you because it's just so light. And, you know, don't go big fish fishing with them because it's not for that. What's Lee saying? If you have rivers nearby, get on, mate. It's canals by me and really tough fishing. Well, you don't make it tough. You catch them all the time. Been looking at maize power. There you go. It's all there to be experimented. But what you do know is the base is not some synthetic. You know, maize power will be powdered maize. So Ian, we'll have a chat about this. There's some stuff going on in the background about this drop shotting and the per kilogram. All right, talking price. James Stinson. 3 minutes to the lake. Wow, that's the thing, Ian, and that's the beauty of it. You'll take hardly nothing. You'll be fishing like horseshoe. You know, there's some cracking pike in horseshoe. Nobody hardly ever fishes for them. But these stripies have really, back in, I think it was 76, they had this kind of perch plague. And perch really took a hammering. But I tell you what, there's a lot of £5 perch out there now. And then you just hop across over to Holland. They've got perch to £7. So I mean they're amazing looking, these ones in Holland. It's one of those kind of things that I must go and do at some stage. So James is asking me, when fishing cold weather, what sort of hook baits would you use? Would you use natural colours or more high vis, or would you use more naturals themselves as live maggots and worms? Honest, if you put me there, gun to my head, and said, you've got to go and catch a fish today, it'd be on a maggot or a worm. They both have their time and place. If we've got to catch any fish. The problem is with in the summer, there's so many fish on the move in water conditions, then you get basically everything and anything eating them, because they are just such a good food source and they're totally natural, etc. And therefore, why people won't use them nowadays, okay, it's probably access. You've got companies like Willy Worms out there that you can get them from, even just to tip off. So if you're fishing, you decide to go down the boilie or pellet route, why don't you put a couple of maggots on your hook as well? These are little edges that make a huge amount of difference. And the good thing is, this time of year, if you're going carp fishing, because the silvers tend to be far less active, very short and quite far between their feeding cycles. Hello, dog. Use naturals. I know I've got a bait company and I could be sitting going, oh, you need to use jungle, and of course baits will work. You see it all the time. But yeah, it would be naturals all the way and every day. So for the reason none of us can replicate. That's why all these new hook baits that I'm mucking around with at the moment, I'm trying to replicate as much as I possibly can natural food content and natural attraction, but I'll never be able to do the real thing, kind of thing. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Where are we going? We have river Trent. I used to fish the River Trent, Stephen. Where are you based? I was based in Milton, near Epton. I used to fish at Swaddling Coat and all the blue pips. Wayne Tester, man from the Paddington days. But you're saying you have perch to £4 and carp, and the Witham Holes carp up to £44. Well, you've seen, especially with the floods in recent years, so many fish have got out and got into the water systems and moved from one place to another. I mean, there's all kinds of tales of huge catfish in the Thames, and I think there probably will be. It's just that nobody's targeting them, and if somebody gets one on, they'll get bumped or snapped, and it won't. Nobody will think, oh, it's a carp or a big barbel or something like that. But yeah, I used maggots for carp last winter. First fish out was £38, 12 ounces. Result, I'd say. Yeah, they are. They. I think the modern industry does have a kind of a position where it's not a profitable area of the market, in truth, because you go and make your own wormery, which is something we were discussing going forward. And then it's free, isn't it? It's free, a really good bait. So they're very focused on promoting and marketing boilies especially. Well, there is other choices, and those other choices on the day can be far better. And then if you look at all other areas of fishing, they're all using naturals, whether it's a match angler, whether it's a sea angler, whether you're replicating it as a fly angler. And we shouldn't ignore the massive fishing information out there and take one point of view, and that's where I come in. I think I question everything, assume nothing. Some things that you're being told, well, I'm being told, we're all being told, doesn't stack up once you start researching it. And I'm not here to give people a hard time, but at the same time, it'd be wrong with me going, excuse me, can you just explain that one to me? And when they turn around and go, well, no, but you should shut up, that doesn't work for me. So there we go. Steve Patrick, I have £30 plus mirrors as well. It's just hard work locating them. Well, that's the thing on rivers, isn't it? They it's like a never-ending lake, I suppose. It was interesting the other day. I was researching some stuff, and there's 100,000 miles of rivers in this country, apparently. Well, waterways, so probably that might have included canals. But yeah, trying to hide. It's not like you've got a lake. They're in the lake, and it's a case of then tricking them. You've got to find them, and it is quite quite interesting. I've known a couple of people who just solely do go stalking basically on the rivers for these elusive fish. It's all very, very hush hush, but there's some big old fish in these rivers. There's some very big ones. So yes, if you said to me, James, as I said, live worms and maggots, that's just so overlooked, and it's so obvious. It's almost like eyes wide shut kind of thing. But when you come to other things, what I do is I'll use things like this. So if I'm going to use a boil bait, so it will be a bit of skinned off squab, I will always look at blinging up. I like to have one rod out with the glug hook baits, you know, the hardened hook baits that have drilled and they're in the glug. They're really, really powerful. So I'm looking for that wafer thin mint, that kind of, you know, waggling the Mars bar in front of my nose. I'm not really hungry, well, probably am, but, you know, I'll eat it because it's there. And then, you know, I'm always with things like pastes. I like pastes because they'll break down quicker because everything's kind of almost sterile in the winter. Nothing's kind of breaking down quickly like it will in warmer water conditions. So I use things like that. You know, I'll impregnate my paste with that and wrap that round just a core. It could just be a cork ball as well because I know it won't break down. It takes ages to break down in the winter. But I've got something that hasn't been boiled, yeah, and something that can break down really quickly, and therefore it's going to exude all the goodness. So there we go. River carping is more intense, exciting as you never know what you're going to catch. Yeah, no, it is, Steve. That's the one downside living down here in beautiful North Devon is there's 0 rivers. I've got to look a long way to find a river that I can do anything like that. What else? Who should I pick now? Because I'm going to have to get the competitions. Galen has asked me how you fish PVA mesh and why. When would you use this tactic versus method? Favourite winter tactic, importance locating fish. Do you have an order in which you try baits during a session to figure out what's working? Any more details about Catch More Fish magazine? Well, I'll finish on that. Me and especially Keith, he's been working away like a mad thing in the background on the next issue. A little bit more of a challenge from most of our cat shots are coming from fisheries like Top Cats and Samui Fishing Resort and Lowy Jungle because it's fishing their heads off. But we got some nice stuff coming in this magazine. Lots of explanation, lots of competitions. Tell you what I've got is these guys rigged and ready. They're prepared to get involved in the competitions. So what I'm doing is basically I'm not into all this advertising and really ramming it down the throats and, you know, every other page is an advert kind of thing. But I've asked these companies, and there's more that are coming on as well. Look, if you supply me with a competition of £100 for one of the prizes, we'll put the advert as such. It's just giving them recognition as a competition. So everybody's winning. So that's why there's all these competitions in there. And there will be more. I've got some really cool stuff coming on later on. It's really, once we got the first issue out, and it did go down well. It's been viewed by thousands and thousands of people. We've had some fantastic feedback. I think that's starting to give confidence to other people that they want to get involved for whatever reasons. But it ultimately be always loaded on your and my side, the angler's side. So there you go. Any fruity baits coming in the future? I will, Anthony, that's something I'm going to be discussing, but not tonight. But watch this space. There is lots of things going on. Being just honest, which is where I am. That gets me in trouble lots of times. But, you know, the more we can grow the brand, the more I can do. And it's that simple. And we're now looking at, you know, a lot of different things. So it's not as easy. It's not, you know, because I want to make it to a set standard. But yeah, there is things in the background. But going back to Galen's question, I'll just take one here. How you fish your PVA mesh and why. Where you've got to be, I was talking to somebody the other day about this, and he was saying to me, I use PVA bags. Now, PVA bags is just the tactic, isn't it? It's like using PVA mesh. That's just the name of the tactic. The most important thing is what is actually contained within that bag. That's the real thing that everybody should be thinking about, not just saying I fish, you know, PVA bags. So that would be the first thing I would say, is always make sure it's a good product, that, you know, it's got high value for fish, and also it's going to work as an angling bait and as an attractant. And lots of times if I decide I just want a single hook bait out there, because I say I know I fish the method a lot, but there's times when I don't, you know, and if you're fishing 3 rods, you can ring the changes, have a single hook bait, have a method, have one out on the bag, see if one produces, you know, more than the others, and then swap the other over, and then you'll have 3 rods fishing really well. But so the main thing is it's a carrier for attractant for me, so I tend to use the pellets within it. But that's not to say I won't use other things, but it tends to be pellets. Sometimes I'll crush up if I'm fishing it on a boilie, or well, it'll be a squab. I'll crush up and put that in there. The limitations obviously are with PVA, you can't put anything wet in there. So if you're going to use something like sweet corn, get some method mix, drop your tin over there, and then dry it out. And just dry out the outer coating, and then you will have basically sweet corn, dry, but it will have a coating of dust on it as well. So yeah, mesh with boiler crumb for me has always done well. Whittle down hook bait, there you go. But hello from Worcestershire. Hello Kevin, I hope you're well, nice to see you here. So what was we talking about? Pellet, but yeah, so the other advantage you have with a mesh bag is if you're going to fish certain rigs that will be inclined to tangle, and it's the same when you paste over or conquer a bait on the hair, that extra weight actually holds it out. So when you're casting it out, you'll see that extra weight will actually take your rig out and keep it well away from your stone setup or however you set up. So that's another little edge to do it. But the main reason is I just use little tea bags. You can make up loads. But, you know, I'm not putting loads and loads of stuff in there. But just remember the limitations, and that's why I tend to fish the method more, because I can be more expansive with what I'm going to put in there. It can be wet, it can be, you know, I'm not saying you can't put maggots in a PVA bag, but you can't pre-make them and things like that. So there's lots of things you can do with the method that you can't do with PVA, but I do use PVA, but I tend not to use them in conjunction. I'm not saying I haven't, but because I have, but I tend not to use the method and then PVA. If I use the method, I tend to use some paste wrapped around the bait. So right, so big drum rolls now, because the time is upon us. I'm sorry, I will keep those questions that are there for next week, or at some stage. I'm going to start trying to do some, if we get some warmer evenings, we're hoping a friend of mine is going to come down and sort out internet, so we've got it all over the city, and then I can do some feeds from down there, and I'll do that when I'm fishing, because I'm going to go fishing. So I say I do apologise for last week for not being here, but we did have a family issue, but I'm back on it now. Do check out on the team exclusive page, you've got all the fishings that are down here. I am working on more fishings, especially into Europe, one I'm looking at, and yeah, just me and one things going on. And do look out, and please enter the competitions on Catch More Fish magazine. Please share it and get it out. Let's get this magazine out there. Of course, it's going to, you know, promote Palatrax, which is no bad thing. I've got no hidden agenda. We can get more people involved. I think more the merrier. But it would be nice to spread the word that we can actually do things that are really step by step helping people to catch more fish. So let me go on. So yeah, look at the team fishings that down here, because I've booked every time there's a fishing, unless the wheel falls off, I will be here to help, assist, do demos, whatever anybody wants. So quite looking at that, because we've got a few, but they are on the team page. So come down and join me and have a barbecue and all that kind of thing. So the team Facebook Palatrax competition. So this is the big main competition. I think that's right. Yeah. Let me just turn the, so you'll be able to see this. Let me do that. Look at me looking in like an old man, and I realise I am. So the winner this week is none other than someone I met in Lacquey last year, Tony Turner. Tony, congratulations, you win that whole box of goodies. So if you can just ping me your address details, though we'll have it somewhere, but if you ping me them on to my Facebook page or Messenger, or whatever it's called, I'll get that out to you this week. So congratulations, Tony. Anthony's saying I do the same in PVA mesh sticks, and so yeah, there you go. And now this one is for the I put up, let me just come back so you can see my looks. It's just shocking. I put up a thing about a question about what people's rig lengths, because rig lengths is another anomaly. People are fishing all different kinds of rig lengths, and therefore you're only ever going to get inconsistent reaction, because that has to happen. And the winner, I'm not sure if he's here or not. Oh, I'm here. Let me check the camera. There you go, Simon Wallace. You win, and you win 5 of the LQ rigs tied by yours truly. So please, Simon, if you see this, if not, we'll reach out to you. Yeah, we'll get get that off you. So you know these rigs have been made by me, and you know they'll be of the standard, my extremely high standard, because they've got to be exactly the same. To work the same, I always say to people, I was talking to Maya and Mike last week about the best way I can give you an analogy for carp fishing and tench fishing to some degree, and it does reflect in other species. But if you can think of a mousetrap, the mousetrap works on a basic principle to catch mice, yeah? So if you take a mousetrap and put it in my barn, or you put it in my workshop and a mouse jumps onto it, shouldn't be in the workshop, it's meant to do the same thing. So when you go fishing, if you take that trap, which is the stone system and the LQ rig at the particular lengths, etc., and you take it to one lake or one river or whatever, it'll do the same thing. So I hope that makes sense. I think that makes sense to me, but then that's me. So and tonight's live feed winner, turn it out again because then you'll be able to read it. It won't be back to front. It is none other than Stephen Bryan. Congratulations, Stephen. So you win that little pouch of goodies. So again, if you can just fire off to me your details and address, I will get those off in the post as well. So there we go, folks. I have to make a move because I've got work to do. We're trying to get this magazine to bed. I've got one more thing to do. But any questions anytime, you know where I am. Just always feel free to reach out. Hopefully it's been interesting this evening. Lots of things talking all over the place. But don't forget the freebies, folks. That, you know, it's not just for the first time. You get these all the time. So do look on that. I like giving things away. It's nice. Sharing's caring, they say, don't they? Sorry, hang on a second. No, sorry, Tinny's whispering in my ear. But no, anyway, you stay safe, catch more fish, as the saying goes. I'll be back on the main Power Treks page next week. Keith is working behind the scenes so I can go on live on loads of different platforms. So yeah, it's really exciting. Loads of things happening. And so don't forget, these kind of things, you don't just have to fish for carp. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm telling you, if you start using light gear and just having to go for the perch, or you bring your rods in and have a wands around horseshoe, for example, or, you know, you fish 2 rods on the bottom and just muck around with a little lure rod on the third rod. So, think about it. Hopefully, it's been interesting. It's been great for so many of you to be here supporting it. I genuinely appreciate that, and hopefully you enjoy it. So I will be back as long as you want me. So I'm out of here now. I'm going to go and chill out, then I'm going to go back to work. So stay safe, folks. See you soon.